Today, Focus Gaming News welcomes back René Jansen, Chairman of the Netherlands Gaming Regulatory Authority in KSA. René, thank you for joining us again. How are things there?
We're fine here. Thank you very much. We're hard at work preparing the entering into force of the new Remote Gambling Act on April 1. So we're quite busy now, but we're enjoying it.
Well, indeed, as you say, a big year for gaming in the Netherlands with the long-awaited launch of the Remote Gambling Act in April, on the 1st of April, as you say. What kind of response have you seen from operators since the KSA published requirements for license applications?
Well, I think that when I'm looking back now at all the reactions we had, the questions we had, the suggestions we had, they're quite positive. And of course, we don't have an easy legislation. We don't have a lot of requirements, and but we can change that, of course, because it's the legislator who chosen to create a detailed and extensive law. But from our part, we had to make several policy rules on the issues at hand. You could think about the testing schemes. You can think about the application for licenses and all the other things we have to make into our rules to have a clear picture for all operators that want to grant for a license and make clear what is expected of them. They were quite positive now. Also, we had some dry runs on our web portal just to test it. So that the launching will be as fluid as possible. I think we have a common goal in a certain sense, operators, their lawyers, their advisors, and that is a smooth process of application of licenses in the early part of March, later on also in the year. Some operators have to wait because they're in a cooling off period. So that is a common interest, and we have had a close communication with them. I think right from the start after the new legislation passed Parliament, and well, we had some consultation processes in last October and November, up until now, I must say. But now I think everything is clear as far as it can be clear, and well, I think we're on the verge of starting the process.
Excellent. Well, we've seen it said certainly that the Netherlands iGaming market could become one of the largest in Europe. Do you think that's fair to say? Do you think that's an accurate prediction?
I wouldn't guess so. I would be really surprised if we were one of the biggest markets in Europe. You know, we're quite relatively small country. We're about 17 million population, which is quite incomparable to any other bigger European countries, like the UK, like France or Germany in the future, who knows? We've had some report recently, which about the prognosis about the forecasts for the developments of the online market in the years to come. And when it's based on numbers of regulars and H2 gambling. And we think we might expect up until some years like 2024 or some 800 million euro gross gambling revenue. So there will be an extension of people playing online in a legal area. Of course, you don't know exactly how many turnover revenue we do have now in this illegal situation. But we think until now it's quite modest because, of course, it is illegal. And the other thing is that many international operators who are working throughout Europe are in a certain sense staying under the radar because they risk for not applying for a license in the future if they are actively targeting and specifically targeting Dutch consumers. So they feel restrained now offering their games in the Netherlands And of course, so there will be a certain correction in the future, so to say. But thinking that we might be one of the leading countries as it comes to consumer revenues out of online gambling, I think that is not very realistic.
Well, speaking about the channelization then towards the new licensed market, as you mentioned, how hopeful are you that the Netherlands will be able to meet its channelization goals? And when it comes to controlling the unlicensed market, do you think the regulators regulate you have the tools necessary to be able to take action against the unlicensed operators once the regulated market launches?
Yeah, well, I must say I'm quite optimistic. The ambitions of government have been that after 3 years after launching the market, after launching the new law, we could have a channelization of 80%. So that would mean 8 out of 10 players looking for their gambling services at legal parties, legal operators. On the report I mentioned you on the forecast for the development of the legislation and the market, I must say, for the coming years, that gives us an indication that it could even be possible within a few years to reach a channelization percentage of 90%. So that would mean 9 out of 10 would play in a legal environment and a safe environment. Well, that would be our ambition also as regulator. Let's say within 3 to 5 years to have a channelization of 90%. That would be very nice. And we think it's supported by also by some studies that most consumers in our country are really eager to play in a safe and reliable environment. But of course, you have to do something to do that as a regulator yourself. And that means I think we should have to enforce the illegal operators that are targeting Dutch consumers. We can do that we also do that now already by monitoring the web traffic and intervening in markets, but also we can cooperate, and we are on the eve of new agreements with payment service providers, and we can order them also to abstain from working with illegal parties. The same counts to affiliates like advertisement companies, marketing companies. Also, we can give them directives to end cooperation with illegal parties. And what I think is also a important element of our strategy on this is intensifying our international cooperation with the other regulators in Europe. We are in the process of having memorandum of understanding with several regulators in Europe. We already have a new memorandum of understanding with Malta, with the Swedish regulator, the Belgian regulator almost. Within a week, we will sign that. And we are working with the realization of a memorandum of understanding for the UK Gambling Commission. And I almost forgot the French, the ANG, which is also a partner. So what we are trying to realize is a really stronger network of European regulators so that you can enforce on an international basis on international functioning operators.
And as for customer protections, we know the self-exclusion system is being trialed for some time now. Are you happy about the protections in place for consumers when it comes to problem gambling, and that this mechanism is ready for the launch of the market?
Yeah, I think when you look back at the number of regulations on protecting players and preventing addiction, all related issues, we have a very strict legislation. So we are happy with that. So I can confirm that we are happy with that. There also is, of course, some problems with it because it's quite extensive, it's quite detailed, but everybody has to learn to work with that. There are some issues that I think are really very important, that there is an active duty of care for all operators. We have monitoring behavior of players by operators, which is that we have to keep their data in a data safe, and we can act on that in our own supervisory activities. We have the exclusion register. We have all kinds of protection for misleading advertisements. We have the cooperation with addiction health services and with experienced experts as trainers, as advisors. So I think there's a whole complex of regulation, which is supportive by creating a safe gaming environment, responsible behavior of operators, and their duty of care. So, and of course, we will take that very serious in our oversight after market opening.
Well, thank you, René. Is there anything you'd like to add, perhaps from the regulator's experience? Is there anything you would share about the sort of the experience of this process that the KSA has been through?
What I've seen until now is that everybody here in the country is seeking support of really true high-level legal and other support just to be prepared for the market launch. So I'm quite confident that those parties who are wishing to have an application, have a license, are real professional parties, and they are preparing in a professional way. And of course, what I also tell them in my speeches and in my context, that is also during the process of the license applications, that we will have a watchful eye on illegal processes surrounding all this, so that we have a responsible opening of the market. And of course, which is very important also by the experiences from market openings at other countries, that after opening market in October 1st this year, we will not have an avalanche of irritating and misleading advertisement peaks. So that there will be no irritation in the Dutch society by all this, and there will be no irritation and responses on that from politicals, from the political area, so that we have a smooth process after that.
Excellent. Well, thank you, René. Thank you for joining us again, for the view of what's happening with the preparations in the Netherlands. Of course, we look forward to seeing the launch of the online markets later this year.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure having you again, and see you in the future.
Thank you, René.
Bye-bye.